So, hi. This is basically a breakdown of the XTNG 38mm carburetor that I've just recently picked up for my Aprilia RS 125 track bike build. Yeah, the stock carburetor on the Aprilia RS 125. There's two versions based on which year the bike was released in. The older generation of them came with fully de-restricted 34mm VHSP Del Auto carburetors, while the newer generation ones came with 28mm PHBH carburetors. I'm using a Rotax DD2 cylinder, the go-kart cylinder from the Rotax DD2 Max carts on my Aprilia RS 125 with the Rotax 122 bottom end, and I was looking for basically an upgrade with this purchase. So when I was looking at upgrades, I was basically looking at a few different options like Electron, Smart Carb, and the XTNG. It came down to the price at the end of the day. Cost versus gains or cost versus returns, and while the Smart Carb and the Electron were pretty impressive, yeah, it did not make sense for me to be spending over 1,000 euros for a carburetor on a base bike that was barely going to cost me 2,500 to 3,000 euros to build. So I went to the XTNG and it seemed quite promising. And I'll talk a little more about that in a couple of minutes. This is what comes with the box. There's a user manual and a setup information kit. They basically detail the factory settings that your carburetor comes with. So in my case, we're using the SE rod that is set at an initial length of 52.01 millimeters. And yeah, there is some more information about the single fuel circuits and the multi-fuel circuits as well, which I'll be talking a little more on in the later stage of this video. Then we have the user manual. The manual itself says it's for the Gen 3 and Gen 3 Pro, which is the older version, but as I understand, the working function, the operative mechanism of the carburetor itself remains the same. So yeah, it's a pretty cool piece of equipment, but let's dive right into it. This is the carburetor. This is how it comes in the packaging. Now let me open this up. Right, so that's the carburetor. Looks really good in terms of the casting quality and the machining finishing. Quite a massive carburetor. This is a 38mm carburetor. So yes, let me dive right down to it. In terms of what the parts are, yeah, this is what they call a tool-free fuel release system, which I believe is a fancy terminology for essentially what the drain bowl does when you open up the screw on the drain bowl in most conventional carburetors. This allows you to open up the float with using just your hands, so that way you're able to drain the carburetor while being on the move and not having any tools to do so, which is pretty cool considering a lot of people would be looking at using this for dirt bike use in the on trails and things like that, where they don't have easy access to tools. So yeah, pretty interesting how they managed to achieve tool-free draining of the float bowl. And then you have the this is your fuel intake. It's where it gets fuel from. This is the idle screw. Um, this part is the idle screw. It's basically used to set the idle RPM. This part is the fuel assist screw, which plays a fairly significant role here, and I'll be talking a little more about it later. This is the choke. This is the metering rod clicker, which you basically set by turning it, by rotating the clicker. You set the length of the metering rod. This is the power jet. Again, pretty cool. It has two directional adjustability based on where it's easily accessible from on your motorcycle itself. In my case, I think the upward adjustability would be best because it's more easily accessible from the top as opposed to accessing it from here. But if I'm not wrong, I think it's completely closed off where it comes from the factory itself. And depending on what fueling requirements you have, you can set it anywhere from 0 to 2 turns out, but they don't recommend anything more than 2 turns out. This is the air assist circuit. Again, a pretty important feature that they have. It's basically used to set two modes on the carburetor, multi-fuel circuit modes and single circuit mode. There's one single circuit mode and there's two multi-circuit modes, and I'll be talking a little more about that in a bit. Again, pretty interesting design here. I've actually seen this on a couple of other carburetors, but I'm not going to talk about that on this video. So yeah, the float bowl itself is a transparent float bowl, so it's easy to monitor fuel levels. I would honestly and personally prefer a anodized aluminum float bowl for more reliability, I guess, because we've had issues with older generation electron carburetors in the past where we used ethanol and it was left lying in the fuel float bowl for a while, and the ethanol basically ate through the float bowl. I wouldn't want that to happen to this. I don't plan to use any ethanol, but just from a reliability perspective, I do trust anodized aluminum float bowls more. It's pretty cool though. It's the first carburetor that I have where I'm able to monitor fuel levels in the float bowl. So yeah, I believe this carburetor is internally vented. There's a variable venturi design that provides stable performance across various altitudes and temperatures. So yeah, okay, let me dive right down into it. Mainly, I'll be talking about two things here: the fuel circuit and the air assist circuit. Right, so the carburetor itself comes from the factory with a long screw, which basically signifies that the air assist circuit is off, and it's what they recommend primarily for better fueling. And if you want more fueling, you can use the short screw, which is provided in the box along with the carburetor. Let me pull that out. So the long screw basically turns off the air assist circuit, while the short screw turns it on. Yeah, so here's the short screw. If you want to turn on the air assist circuit, you take out the long screw and put the short screw in there, and done. That's it. So with the air assist circuit turned off, you have single circuit mode, where you basically control fueling only by setting the number of clicks on the metering rod clicker using the metering rod clicker tool. Let me pull that out for you as well. Yeah, here it is. I believe this enables similar operation principles to how the smart carb and I believe the Billetron operates. I can't confirm this myself as I haven't used them on my own builds at least. Right, so multi-fuel circuits. The other functionality that you have with the long screw, that is the air assist circuit turned off, is multi-fuel circuit multi-fuel circuit mode 2, which has the air assist circuit turned off, and you have the fuel assist circuit turned out anywhere between 0.5 to 1.5 turns based on your fueling needs. If you require more fueling than that, you swap out the long screw in the air assist circuit out with the short screw, and then you set this out, set the fuel circuit out anywhere between 2 to 4 turns, because with the air assist circuit turned on, you will need more fueling. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything I was looking to talk about in this video. This isn't a review video, it's more of a technical breakdown, because I'm building the bike currently in India and I live in Germany. I get to visit my home only when I'm on holiday. So right now, all I get to do is look at the carburetor and figure out what I'm going to do with it or how to do it. And I will be providing a more detailed review in a couple of months once I have this carburetor on the RS. I also plan to test it out on a friend's Kawasaki KR150. It should be quite interesting. I'll probably be reaching out to Tom for a different meeting rod if that's going to be required. But let's see, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, I think, yeah, I've talked enough and I should stop the video for now. Reach out to Tom if you're looking for this carburetor. Tom from XTNG, they have a website. I think it's called xtngmotorsports.com. If you're looking to buy the carburetor, reach out to them. I think they've got a discount right now. So yeah, have a wonderful day. Bye.